Greetings, it's Eric Backer, naturopath from New Zealand. Thanks for checking out this video today. This is my wife's little dog, just in case you're going to hear any noises in the room. Are you going to be quiet for me today? Well, I think you are. Yeah, you're gorgeous. Okay. So, today we're going to be talking about inflammatory bowel disease. So this is based on my experiences over about 30 years. I'm going to be talking about Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, and I'm going to give you some very good hints and tips. So if you've got one of these conditions, I'd like you to pay particular attention, because this information has helped a lot of people over the years that I've seen people, with all kinds of functional bowel problems. Many of these people have approached me because they weren't really getting the results that they were expecting with conventional treatment. So, let's get started. But first, before we get started, we're going to explain the difference between ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, because these are two quite different conditions lumped into the inflammatory bowel disease category. Crohn's disease tends to be a lot more insidious, a lot more disturbing, a lot more painful, a lot more serious than ulcerative colitis. In fact, up to 70% of people with Crohn's at some stage in their life will end up with some type of surgery. Not always effective, but often required because they end up with such big health problems. So, excuse me. So, if you think about it, the word ulcerative colitis implies the colon. Ulcerative colitis generally affects the lower parts of the large intestine. So it's going to be affecting the descending colon and the sigmoid colon. Not usually the rectum, but the colon's affected, and especially like the latter part of the colon. Whereas Crohn's disease, it can affect any part of the digestive system from the mouth right through to the rectal area. But it will generally affect the distal parts of the small intestine. So in medicine, distal we mean further away. So the small intestine is broken into three parts. You've got the duodenum, or we call it duodenum, you've got the jejunum, and you've got the ileum. So the ileum is the terminal part that connects up to the colon through the ileocecal valve. So the ileum is the part most affected by Crohn's disease. So Crohn's tends to be have a lot more serious effect on the bowel, as I mentioned. There'll be ulcers, and these can be very deep ulcers. These can affect the deeper layers of the tissue, causing a lot of destruction of the bowel, hence the surgery. Whereas colitis tends to affect the more superficial and upper layers, affecting the mucosa. Okay. And this can cause mucus and bleeding, which we commonly find with colitis. But with Crohn's, we're going to get a lot more pain, much more cramping and bleeding, and like serious pathology. So, what do we do about these conditions? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how you can get a good outcome with inflammatory bowel, how you can avoid a lot of the discomfort, and how you can also avoid a lot of the unnecessary anxiety that comes with this condition. So inflammatory bowel can really muck up your life quite a lot. It can cause a lot of problems. And most people I see with inflammatory bowel disease end up so stressed out because of this condition. Some of them end up quitting their job or having relationship problems, or it really disrupts your life. So I wouldn't know what it's like to have inflammatory bowel, because my gut has always been in such good shape. But I can totally understand where people come from when they have inflammatory bowel, because the quality of their life can go very low very quickly. And that then, of course, will affect them emotionally significantly. So let's look at the natural approach. What are you going to do if you've got this condition? What are some of the best things you can do? Well, I always say the bigger the problem, the bigger the hammer. Right? I got a lot of tools, and I've got small hammers in my workshop. But I've also got a sledgehammer, a real big sledgehammer, and I find that sometimes very effective for a problem like breaking a big piece of concrete. But you're not going to be breaking a big piece of concrete with a tiny little tack hammer that you use for putting little tacks in. And it's similar with this condition. So you need a big solution when you've got a big problem. You need a strong, heavy solution, okay? Now the big one, the sledgehammer for a lot of people watching this, is going to be no alcohol. Because it goes without saying, when you've got a major bowel problem, you don't really want to be drinking alcohol. So if you've got inflammatory bowel disease and you're watching this problem now, and you think that you can get away with a few glasses of alcohol here or there, you are completely kidding and deluding yourself, because you can't do that at all. Not at least until you've got a very well functioning bowel. Okay, it's just common sense. You just don't do those kind of things. So alcohol is just a no-go zone straight off the bat. The second one, to me, it's a caution. It's taking pharmaceutical drugs of any kind, particularly non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Like Tylenol, ibuprofen, I think acetaminophen, aspirin, any kind of drug for pain in particular is very erosive on the gut. So you really want to try and avoid to take drugs as much as possible, for other kind of conditions like headaches or backaches or arthritis or knee pain or stomach pain or anything like that. You really want to try and minimize your drug intake. So we talked about the alcohol and the drugs. Those are two very powerful things in their effects on the gut. The third thing that you'll really want to do is stool testing. You want to ask your healthcare professional that you want a functional diagnostic stool test. It's called a comprehensive stool analysis, or a CSA, times three samples. There's about 20 labs in America that will do it. All right, so you need to talk to your healthcare professional and say, look, doc, I want this test done. I want to scope out what's going on inside my tummy. I want to know if I've got candida. I want to know if I've got parasites. I want to know if I've got good bacteria. I want to know. You want to know, all right? If your business is failing, doesn't your accountant give you, a spreadsheet and explain to you why the business is failing? Or if your health is failing, wouldn't you want to get a professional to give you some sheet saying, well, look, these are the areas that we need to pick up on? It's common sense. So the fourth thing is we're going to look really at an anti-inflammatory diet. So when you've got inflammatory bowel disease, we want an anti-inflammatory diet. So what are the things that you think or would assume would be inflammatory? You probably know that by now. It's all the crappy foods in the diet. It's takeaway foods. It's Taco Bell, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Denny's, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, all that kind of crap. The stuff that you really shouldn't be eating. I had a long conversation with a patient yesterday about what it was like growing up in the 60s, because I'm nearly 60 myself now, but when I was a young guy growing up in the early 1960s, and then in 1969, our first supermarket came into the area. Because prior to that, Mum used to get, the truck would turn up once a week for the groceries. There'd be a guy pulling up that would have meat, for example, for sale. There would be a guy pulling up that would have milk for sale, the milkman. And then you'd have the vegetable guy who had fruits. He'd pull up. So you'd always have this produce coming in that was brought to you. And if you wanted stuff like sugar or salt or stuff like that, you would go to the corner store, and then the guy would put it in a bag for you and weigh it out, and you'd pay that price. And then the bigger supermarkets came in with all the processed foods, where initially it was all in glass. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, but everything was packaged in glass and thick cardboard boxes, and now it's all plastic crap. There were no really pre-packaged foods, microwave meals or stuff in those days. You had to make everything from scratch. And I still do that today. All my meals are prepped from scratch, everything we do. We try and eat most of our food that we grow ourselves, and if we do buy stuff, we buy the best food that we can buy. So I want you to follow that line. I want you to make your meals from scratch, from high-quality organic ingredients. If you can't, you make sure that you eat food that's made with the best possible, ingredients. Because if you really treasure your digestive system like I do, you're going to want to eat good food all the time. All right. So, anti-inflammatory diet means a low, crappy food diet. It means there's minimal preservatives and excipients and flavorings and colors and additives and high fructose corn syrup and BHT and all these chemicals that they put in food now. All that crap they put in there. You want to avoid that as much as you can. Simple meals work the best for inflammatory bowel. A piece of fish and a piece of steamed broccoli. That's a meal, for example. It's a low inflammation diet. So what are the foods that inflame the gut? Well, foods that inflame the gut, as I mentioned, are takeaway foods, but they're also foods high in bad kind of fats. Saturated fats, like the bad saturated fats that have been heated up. Deep fried foods, for example. Okay, we're looking at trans fats or fats that are solid at room temperature. Just be careful, because takeaway food and preserved food and packaged food often has these fats in it, right? So you want to avoid that. The bad fats, as I mentioned. Most vegetable oils you want to avoid if you can. I recommend extra virgin olive oil. I also recommend a high quality sesame seed oil. It's quite good for the body. And if you can get some really, really fresh, clean oils that have been cold pressed, it's well worth doing. Okay, well worth doing. Coconut is a good oil also. If you get a really good coconut oil, it's good for the gut as well. It's antifungal, it's anti-inflammatory, it's good. Red meat is not a good idea for ulcerative colitis. Red meat is inflammatory, heats the body up, and it's inflammatory. And it can even be allergenic for people because it's bovine, it's cow protein. Pork is not a good idea for inflammatory bowel disease. The best proteins, in my opinion, are either vegetable proteins. Okay, so I'm a believer in tofu. You may not be, but I eat a non-GMO tofu at least once or twice per week, like a soy tofu, a good one. Tempeh, the fermented soy products are good to eat. But there are various other beans and peas you can eat, like chickpeas and lentils, quite good sources of protein. Fish and good quality organic free-range chicken, in my opinion, are the better proteins to eat. Be very careful of sulfur-based foods in the diet. Sulfur, particularly eggs, can really flare up some people's bowel quite a lot when it's inflamed. I've learned that by experience. I've read some research on that years ago, that eggs are not the best food for people with inflammatory bowel disease. Fresh fish, nice white fillets, a piece of salmon, some chicken, these are good kind of proteins, and the vegetarian proteins, as I discussed. Vegetables are very, very important for ulcerative colitis, the right kind of vegetables, and particularly the right kind of fibers are important for the colon. So let's talk a little bit about fiber in the diet now. Low fiber, spasms, flares, and pain. Wrong fiber, more bowel motions. Right fiber, better form bowel motions. So low fiber meaning you're not eating enough vegetables, or you're boiling the crap out of everything, or you're eating processed food. So you need fiber in your diet. There are different types of fibers, soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. So these serve different kinds of purposes in the gut. But most vegetables, good quality leafy greens, contain a lot of fiber, and this is what you want in your diet. Fiber serves many purposes. It allows a very good passage of stool and through the gut. It helps to heal the bowel. It slows down the ability of the stool to block up and cause increasing ulceration or pain or hot spots. But it also promotes the formation of good beneficial bacteria which help to heal the colon and soothe it and help to stop things like leaky gut. So Granny Smith apples, sprouts, green vegetables. I've also just done some research interesting on tapioca starch made from cassava. So tapioca, these little white pearls that you can buy, a little bit of that in your diet is very, very beneficial for inflammatory bowel disease. You may want to give it a try, okay, because that's going to help to feed up and build up what we call short-chain fatty acids in the colon. And that's going to help a lot with bloating and gas and pain and things like that. Another one of my favorites is aloe vera. So fresh aloe vera leaf, you can just fillet that, get that yellow bitter stuff off it, put that in a container, put it in your refrigerator, fill it up with 20 ounces of water or so, and then once a week replace the leaf. Or you can also buy the aloe vera juice, get a good quality one. Aloe vera is very soothing and healing for the digestive tract. So we talked about the fibers, we talked about the vegetables and the proteins and the fats. Hydration is a very important thing too, so I'd like you to drink plenty of herbal teas. If you're suffering a lot from bloating or gas or flatulence or things, you could try fennel tea. Chamomile tea is quite soothing, and peppermint tea. Peppermint tea is my favorite. I grow a lot of peppermint in summer. I just love the refreshing taste of peppermint. So those are good herbal teas for you to have. Caffeine is not really a good idea with inflammatory bowel, but most people I know with colitis can get away with one coffee in the morning, no problem at all. Dietary supplements are very important with inflammatory bowel because many people are deficient in vitamins. Vitamin D, up to 75% of people with inflammatory bowel have vitamin D deficiency. So get a blood test done for vitamin D, get a blood test done for B12. Up to 50% of people with inflammatory bowel have got a B12 deficiency. And that can lead to depression and anxiety and a whole bunch of different problems. You can get all sorts of weird peripheral neuropathy like tingling, numbness, weak hands, Many different symptoms can occur with B12 deficiency, so I recommend you get B12 checked and vitamin D checked. Okay. Also, don't forget that when you've got inflammatory bowel, it's important to make sure you've got no parasites, no candida, no bad bacteria or things like that. Digestive enzymes work very, very well for people also with inflammatory bowel, and so do probiotics. Check out the CanXida range that I created, CanXida Restore, the green in the green bottle, the green label. That is going to help you a lot because it's got enzymes and probiotics in it. The CanXida Remove is excellent for inflammatory bowel because it cleans up the gut. It's got so many different natural medicines in it which help to get rid of parasites, yeasts, different fungi and bad bacteria. So 1 or 2 tablets per day for 3 to 6 months is going to clean that whole digestive system up and eliminate those unwanted pathogens. CanXida Rebuild is an excellent multivitamin designed for people with conditions like inflammatory bowel disease. So it's going to help supply nutrition and help to correct a lot of the deficiencies for the gut. It's also got a base, an antimicrobial base in it. So taking 1 or 2 Rebuild per day is going to go a long way towards supplying the cells with nutrition that they're lacking through poor gut function. It's also going to help to inhibit the microbes, because of the antimicrobial base in it. So the CanXida products work quite well with inflammatory bowel disease, particularly if you follow the advice I've outlined in this video. No alcohol, watch the pharmaceutical drugs, follow an anti-inflammatory diet, cook food at home from scratch. Nutrition is your medicine, medicine is your nutrition. It's the primary thing that you want to get involved in. Drink at least 6 to 8 glasses of good quality water per day. Drink a few cups of herbal teas. Last thing, but not least, that we didn't speak about was stress. Stress is one of the primary triggers for inflammatory bowel disease. I can't tell you how many people I've seen that get a flare, a gut flare, when they're under stress. I see this quite a lot. I've seen this with airline pilots. I've seen this with people I work with in New Zealand who share sheep. I've seen it with accountants. I've seen it with CEOs of companies. I've seen it with professional athletes. I've seen it with some musicians. I've seen all these kind of people with inflammatory bowel disease. And I've seen these people get the flares most when they had a big project on, or a big personal stress, or a work stress. That's when the flare really came up. So if you've got something coming up, make sure you prepare yourself for it and relax several days prior to the event so it doesn't form a key trigger when it comes to inflammatory bowel disease. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight into what I consider to be some of the best hints and tips for inflammatory bowel disease. And now I'm going to say goodbye, and Libby's going to say goodbye too. Are you going to say goodbye, Libby? Oh, you're a good girl. You miss your mother, don't you? Eh? Okay, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. I do appreciate it. Thank you.